Hello everybody, my name is Karen Albino and today I'm going to explain you the Stephen Krashen's theories. I'd like to start this presentation talking about this quote by Stephen Krashen that talks about language acquisition. Language acquisition does not require extensive use of conceived grammatical rules and does not require tedious drive. But first of all, we need to know who Stephen Krashen is. He is an American linguistic, educational researcher, and activist who is emeritus professor of education at the University of Southern California. Stephen Krashen is an expert in the field of linguistics, specializing in the theories of language acquisition and development. As a linguistic, Stephen Krashen created five theories about the second language acquisition. The first one is the acquisition learning hypothesis. The second one is the monitor hypothesis. The third, the input hypothesis. The next one, the affected filter hypothesis. And finally, we have the natural order hypothesis. I'm going to explain each of them. Here we have the first theory, that is the acquisition learning hypothesis. This is the most fundamental of the five hypotheses in Krashen's theory. And as we know, the most known by teachers and linguistics around the world. According to Krashen, there are two ways to learn a second language, and the first one is the acquired system, and the second one the learn system. And we have the acquired system, the language acquisition, that is a product of a subconscious process. Also, we have the learn system or learning, that is a product of formal instruction, and it comprises a conscious process which results in conscious knowledge about the language. But according to Krashen, learning is less important than acquisitions, because acquisition is a process similar to that, but we acquire our mother tongue and we don't pay attention to the learning of language. We acquire that by our mother tongue. The second hypothesis is the monitor hypothesis. This hypothesis explains the relationship between acquisition and learning and defines the influences of the latter on the former. According to Stephen Krashen, this hypothesis also takes into consideration three kinds of monitor users. The first one, the over monitor users, the second one, the under monitor users, and the third one, the optimal monitor users. The over monitor users are students who trust that acquired competence, so they produce their language by using their learning competence. Um, but the under monitor users, on the other hand, are speakers who don't really care about correctness, only meaning of their language. And later we have the optimal monitor users or acquirers, who manage the use of monitor only when it appropriates by writing or a speech of a letter. In third place, we have the input hypothesis, that Krashen is the most important of the five hypotheses. It's very important because it explains that people acquire languages by understanding messages and by receiving information that Stephen calls comprehensible input. But students receive this information by receptive skills that are listening and reading. And there are a series of stages from input to production. And between these two stages, there is the silent period, where is the when the student pay attention to the teacher and tries to understand what teacher is saying, and after that he or she internalize the information. And When this period is broken, is when a student um, has understand the information, and after that he or she tries to produce this information by the productive skills that are speaking or writing. So we have the production, we pass from input to production, and also we pass for the silent period, and of this way students produce their skills. Okay, next we have the affective filter hypothesis, and according to krashen, to acquire a second language, there are a number of affective variables that play a facility to acquire. These variables include motivation, self-confidence, anxiety, and personality traits. When students have these variables, uh, they are better equipped for success in a second language acquisition, or it depends of our mood. If if we feel comfortable and relaxed in a place and environment, the affective filter opens. But uh, if the affective filter closes, it impedes that language acquisition be acquired by students. Finally, but not less important, we have the natural hypothesis. It explains that the acquisition of grammatical structures follows a natural order which is predictable. For some students, some grammatical structures tend to be acquired early while others late. It depends a lot of the age of the students, the background, the conditions, the exposure to the second language. Um, it says that the structures come of a natural way. It depends a lot of the students and their skills, but they will be acquired the structures by a natural order. In conclusion, Krashen theory suggests new ideas for language teaching, and we as new teachers we have to take into consideration because they are very important, and we have to apply them in the class for the future students, and they can learn the second language successfully and of a easily way. And that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.